Hey everyone, Steven here from Adolescence and welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for watching, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my top 10 favorite designer fragrances of all time. I realized that back in November I actually did a niche list. If you'd like to check out that list, I'm going to leave a link for it here if you're on a device that supports annotations. And I said that I was going to be doing my designer list pretty soon. I do apologize, I know it's been a few months since then, but I've compiled this list for you guys today, so I hope you enjoy it. Now, a few ground rules that I wish to establish before I get into disclosing what the fragrances on the list are. The first thing that I want to mention is that these are fragrances that are by no means suggested by me to be the best designer fragrances in the world, right? Of course, you know, I think fragrance is very subjective, and you know, what you like is going to differ sometimes drastically and dramatically from what I like. So these are all just personal preferences. This list is very subjective and very personal to me. So these are fragrances that I've had in my collection, some of which for many years now, and some of which I've actually purchased several bottles of because I've just run through them very quickly. So these are fragrances that I like. These are the ones that appeal to my interest the most. And the next thing that I want to mention is that these are fragrances that I have in my collection. There are plenty of fragrances out there that I absolutely love, but unfortunately I don't own every fragrance that I love. And there are some fragrances that I've smelled that I would consider favorites of mine, but I just don't have them in my collection, so for that reason they did not make this list. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this list, and I'm going to start things off with my number 10. Now, my number 10 fragrance is a fragrance that I picked up rather recently. I found out about it through another reviewer's video that he did, and he mentioned how it smelled very similar to this one very popular niche fragrance that gets talked about very positively in the community, which I happen to own as well. And when I got my nose on this, I realized that it did smell remarkably similar, and for the price value, you really can't go wrong. This one is by Perri, and it's called Unpredictable Adventure. This is the only lesser known brand that you're going to see in this list, but I like this one just because of the resemblance that it bears to Creed's Aventus. Creed Aventus is actually one of my absolute favorite fragrances of all time. I mean, you really can't go wrong with Creed Aventus. It smells great, compliment factor is very high, versatility is great, the performance is superb, and it smells unique, and you can guarantee that not everybody's going to smell like you. You know, it's still a rather obscure fragrance despite its popularity in the online fragrance community. So this one, of course, is the product of reverse engineering, which is why it smells so similar to it. But number 10 on my list, Perri's Unpredictable Adventure. You have pineapple, a smoky nuance to it, vanilla, amber, just a great scent. Make sure you check it out. Number 9 on my list is a fragrance that I have owned multiple bottles of, and that's only because I love this fragrance so much. I actually first picked this one up when I was in Europe a few years back. I want to say 2011 or something like that, or yeah, something like that. And I fell in love with it the moment that I first smelled it. It's a fragrance for somebody who has a sweet tooth, but it's different. You know, it's not like your Angel Men or your Le Mans. This one is by one of my favorite perfumers, who is Annick Menardo, and this one is called Masculin by Lolita Lempicka. So this has a really nice, you know, like aniseed or star anise, licorice kind of a feel to it. So if you don't like licorice, chances are you're really not going to like this scent because it is rather strong. It's not like a kerosene black vines. I hate to drop that fragrance because I know it's a rather obscure frame of reference, but this one does still have a rather strong licorice note to it. So great fragrance. Right now I experienced the gamut of fragrances, and I realize that there are many other fragrances out there that are still on the sweet side but a little bit more wearable. But this is a great night out casual scent, especially for the price that you're paying for it. It's a great bang for your buck. Number 8 on my list is a fragrance that made this list just because of how often I wear it. This is a Swiss Army knife in my collection. This is a fragrance that I've always get compliments with. People love smelling this on me, and it seems like most of the time somebody makes a comment about how good I smell. And you know, it's a professional smelling scent. It works well in all scenarios. The versatility on it is also very high. And I've also recommended this to many people whom I know personally. This is by Chanel, and it's called Bleu de Chanel. I think you really can't go wrong with this scent. I mean, just a great combination of incense and citrus and woods. great fragrance, good bang for your buck. I would highly recommend you check it out, especially if you're looking something that you can wear to the office, something that you can wear to work. It has a very professional smell to it. It's, you know, universally loved and appreciated, and I think it's a great fragrance. So Bleu de Chanel from the house of Chanel. Number 7 on my list is another fragrance by Chanel. I think that they really did very well in this list. They're sort of dominating this list. This is actually my favorite from the Allure line. I think it's the one with the most personality. That actually is, I've sampled them all, and this ended up being my favorite. This one is called Allure Homme Edition Blanche. Now you can't find this everywhere. It's not at my Macy's, it's not at my Sephora, but you do find it at major department stores. You just kind of have to get lucky with this one. It's a lemon-based scent, and it's a very creamy, sweet, vanilla kind of a lemon, and it has that fresh sweetness to it very well throughout the entire duration of the fragrance. So we know lemon to be a very volatile note. In the case of this fragrance, on the other hand, it actually lasts for a long time. So I really like that about this one. So Chanel's Allure Homme Edition Blanche. Number 6 on my list is probably one of the best smelling designer fragrances out there right now, which you could still find at Macy's and Sephora. And the performance on this one is not as great, but I love this fragrance just because of the smell. I think the smell is very unique. My fiance absolutely loves it. I've also gotten a lot of compliments with this one as well. And this is a little bit of a darker scent. This one I tend to reach for more when I have like a dressed up event, or, you know, when I want to smell a little bit more masculine, but I still want to get some of that sweetness in there thrown into the mix. This one is by Dolce Gabbana, and it's called The One. So this is a really nice ambery, tobacco, warm, rich, fruity kind of a fragrance. The only qualm that it has is that it doesn't last a very long time. So if you can overlook that, I think you will really enjoy this scent. Definitely one of the more unique scents on the market today. Dolce Gabbana The One, make sure you check it out. One of the best smelling designers out there, I think, in my humble opinion. So number 5 on my list is a fragrance that has made number 1 on some of my other lists. But this one I didn't put as high on the list because I don't think I wear it as often as I would want to. Even though I've run through multiple bottles of it, I think that this one is more of a fragrance for the type of person who's not really into fragrances, the type of person who just wants to smell clean, just wants something that they could throw on, you know, maybe when they get out of the shower to kind of prolong that clean smell. This one is by Prada, and it's called Infusion Dome. One of the best compositions by Daniela Andrié. She's done Amber Pour Homme, Luna Rosa. I think in terms of soapy smelling fragrances, Amber Pour Homme is a close second, Luna Rosa is a close third. This is definitely the best on the market in my opinion. And I think that the blend of vetiver and benzoin, I think it is, and iris and neroli and the incense qualities, it just comes together to kind of form like this very nice and very authentic too, smelling soapy scent. So definitely make sure you try it out. So getting into the top 4 on my list, I mean, God forbid if for some reason I had to, you know, start over in my collection, these are probably the first 4 designer fragrances that I would purchase, simply because I love them so much and they've been with me for a while now. And some of these, you know, definitely have the nostalgia tied around them, so it's the memories that I've commemorated wearing these scents that make them, you know, my favorite scents for me. So getting into number 4, it was really hard to pick one fragrance or one flanker from this line, but I definitely chose this one because it's the first flanker that I've gotten my nose on, so I have history with it, you know, and I have experience with it. This one is, and it might as well represent all of the flankers and even the original, by Thierry Mugler. This one is Angel Men Pure Malt. Now, I own the original, I've run out of the original, I've owned several bottles of the original, but when I started watching YouTube videos and I learned about all the different flankers, Pure Malt, Pure Havane, Ultra Zest, I decided to get my nose on this one. This was the first one of the line that I decided to try, and man, I fell in love with it. The ethyl maltal, the caramel smell, the boozy quality, the whiskey, just everything about it is absolutely amazing. I love this scent, and honestly, I probably love it just as much as the original. There are times when I feel like I like Pure Havane a little bit more, but honestly, this one is the one that really brings back the memories for me, so I had to put Pure Malt on this list. Getting into number 3 on my list, this one is many people's number 1, and for a good reason, I think. This is, I think, in some ways an improvement over the original. It's really hard. Sometimes I crave the original, sometimes I crave the flanker, but I ended up putting the flanker on this list because this is the one that I save for special occasions, and this is the one that I like more when I wear it, the one that makes me feel better. A little bit better when I wear it. This one is by Christian Dior, and it's called Dior Homme Intense. Now, I know there are many versions of this fragrance. You have the Dior Homme Cologne, the Dior Homme Parfum. I chose this one because I just, quite frankly, I love this one. I think it's very well done. You have that waxy iris note, but at the same time, you have some other nuances thrown into the mix, like I think it's ambrette or pear. I know that the note breakdown varies between the original formulation and the reformulated version, but I just think this one is absolutely fantastic. I get a lot of compliments when I wear it. My fiance loves it. I just really honestly think that you can't go wrong with it. One of my absolute favorites. So glad to have it in my collection. Alright, so getting into my number 2 scent. My number 2 scent is another staple in my collection. I think the level of the juice in the bottle will certainly be indicative of the frequency with which I wear it. It has made number 1 in my, I think, my spring or my summer list. I think it was my spring list, and I definitely wear this one a lot. I've worn this one only really when I've gone on vacation. So whenever I smell it, it reminds me of being on vacation, and I think it's one of Jean-Claude Ellen's best. And this one is by Hermes, and it's called Un Jardin Sur le Nil, which translates to a garden on the Nile. And it has a very herbaceous, you know, green, watery, leafy, fruity, mango-y kind of a smell. Man, what a great, fresh, you know, fruity, citrusy, green smell for the summer and the spring. I think it's one of the best. It really does a great job at transporting me to a garden on the Nile, and it really kind of evokes that. If you have not smelled this fragrance before, please make sure you do. You can find it in Sephora. I know they have a few different versions of it. Check this one out, Un Jardin Sur le Nil. Definitely one of my favorites. And then going on into my number 1 favorite scent of all time. Thank you so much for bearing through my video this long. And this one, I remember hearing about it when it first came out, and I actually ordered this online on the very first day that it was released to the public. And I love the women's version. I love how it smells on women. I think it smells absolutely amazing, the sweetness, the floral qualities. And then when I found out that they were coming out with a men's version, I was like, I gotta get my hands on it. And very first day it became available, I blind bought it, and I remember getting it in the mail and just being blown away by the smell. I don't know if it's been reformulated at all, but all I know is that I bought it on the very first day that it came out, and it has since then been one of my favorite fragrances. I also get a ton of compliments. The smell is completely unique, one of the best smells on the designer market, right next to Dolce Gabbana is the one. This one is by Viktor and Rolf, and it's called Spicebomb. Now, of course, this is like the next Paco Rabanne's 1 million, right? Everybody owns it, everybody wears it, and now people are starting to hate it because of how popular it is and because of how widespread it has become, but I don't care. You know, I bought it when it first came out. I love it, not to sound like a hipster or anything like that, but I absolutely love this scent. I truly think that this is one of the better scents out there in the designer market, and I'm glad that it's doing so well, and I'm glad that so many people are wearing it, because I think it certainly does deserve the praise and the wearing that it gets. So great spicy tobacco, pink pepper, woodsy, you know, sweet kind of a scent. Definitely great for casual night out, but I think it could also be worn pretty well with a shirt and tie or a suit and tie. Spicebomb by Viktor and Rolf, my number 1 favorite designer fragrance of all time. So there you have it, guys. These have been my top 10 favorite fragrances in the designer market. If you own or have tried any of these scents, please let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Also, please don't forget to rate and subscribe for future videos. So again, everyone, thank you very much for watching. This has been Steven with another video from Adolescence, and I will see you soon.